Hi everyone, Herbalist40 here, and I'm back with a new video for you. So today I'm going to be approaching a sensitive subject, and that is basically religion and a couple of different views on specific parts of the Bible. Now I'm doing this because the subject of religion is relevant to some of us and our theories in the game, and I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot more about this in the days to come, so it is of quite some importance. But before I get into the video, I do want you to bear in mind two things. The first one is, a religion, whichever one it may be, can be seen and interpreted differently depending on a follower of said religion. Now, the second thing I want you to bear in mind is I am not sharing any kind of personal opinion on the matter here, but simply exposing different views that could be relevant to GTA 5. Right, with that said, we can get into it. Now, as I'm sure some of you have heard, there are a multitude of different versions of the Bible, but the two we're going to be looking at today are the King James Version and the Hebrew Version. Okay, now I've been looking at specific views on these versions of the Bible, and I'm going to try and deliver this as simply as I can, but trust me when I say it is a proper mouthful and it's quite hard to get your mind around, so be understanding, try and clear your minds, and just understand that I'm doing my best. But before I tell you the story I've chosen, I just want you to know that some people consider the King James Version to be a lie. And the reason is because when they translated the Hebrew version to the King James Version, they changed the word it to the word he. And now the story that I've chosen is Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. And as I'm sure you know, there is the snake, the serpent, in this story. And by changing the word it to the word he, the snake in the story becomes Satan. Now in the original Hebrew version, and the opinion that I've been looking at, is that the snake is not Satan. Satan is the dragon that is waging war on the heavens, but the snake in this case can be seen as Lilith. Now I apologise for those who don't know who Lilith is, but I will be getting into that a little bit in just a moment, and perhaps some more in the next video. But I just want you to have a look here at the book of Revelations. Now, this is Revelation number 12, chapter 7, verse 9. I believe that's how it's read out. And when we break it down, it basically says that during the war on heaven, Michael and his angels fought the dragon and his angels, and they weren't strong enough. So the dragon is thrown down to earth. Now we're going to take a look at the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now this text predates Christianity itself, and it basically says, amongst many things, that Lilith is a demon who fled from a tree after a dragon was killed. Now, another thing that predates Christianity in itself, and I haven't actually got anything here to show you for that because it's just a mountain of literature, it basically states that Lilith is a winged spirit able to fly, and that she's highly linked with trees. So I'm sure you all know the relevance of trees as well regarding Epsilon. So again, it's full of dualities and connections, but I'm going to try and keep it simple here. I'd like you to see now what artists in the medieval era portrayed this story as. And it seems they understood that the serpent wasn't in fact Satan, that the serpent was Lilith, because they portrayed the serpent as half snake, half woman. Okay? Now, in the original Hebrew text, the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden starts by referring to them as man and woman. We don't actually know their names. So I'm going to try and break the Hebrew version of the story down as much as I can. And it basically says that the serpent persuades the woman to eat the forbidden fruit, by telling her that she won't be killed by God, for upon eating it her eyes will open and she will know good and evil, and therefore be like angels, as God created them with the ability to choose between the two. Okay? So eventually the woman gives in to the snake, and she ends up eating the fruit and sharing it with her husband as well. The snake's prediction comes true. they basically what happens is, as when they say their eyes are open, they're now aware that they were naked. So when what happens next is the Lord's voice comes in the garden, they hide because they're now aware of their nudity. So they don't want God to see them that way. He eventually ends up getting the truth out of them. He questions them, and they tell him that they have indeed eaten the fruit, but it's the snake's fault. So in consequence of that, the Lord decides to punish all three of them. But the punishment given to the serpent in this case is the most interesting, because he says to the serpent that you will have to walk on your belly for the rest of your days and eat dust also, but walk on your belly for the rest of your days. Now I told you earlier that Lilith, in texts that predate Christianity, was portrayed as a flying demon. Okay? Now, I'm just going to go ahead here and show you the point of the video. Now, this is a fruit bowl in Michael's house, okay? And I want you to focus on the two purple dots at the top of the bowl, which are going to form the snake eyes. And if you look at the white leaves or white stains to the side of the bowl, it's going to form the head of the snake. And the more you look at it, hopefully, the more it will become clear to you that it is indeed a snake. But if I move on, that's all good and well. See, here's another perspective of it for you. But if I move on here, I want you to focus on where the grid, the centre box of the grid, stops. Now I'm just going to say that in there I see a demon, and I see its wings that form the top of the snake's head. Now I'm going to zoom out so you can have a little bit of a better perspective. There's a couple of them in Michael's house. You can feel free to go look at them yourselves, but when I first saw this, I was like, okay, the snake. I know about the snake. I know Wispy Woods has spoken of the snake. I know that Bry, I believe it's Bry who spoke about Lilith in one of his videos. But what was really bugging me was this winged demon in the head of the snake. Now my question to you is this the Hebrew version of the story of Adam and Eve, where in fact Satan is not the serpent in the story, but it is in fact Lilith, because here you see a winged demon forming the head of a snake. Now could that be portraying Lilith and the punishment she received? Now that's something I want you guys to think on. I'm sorry there's no conclusion for you there, but I felt the need to bring it to you. Now before I get on and leave you guys, I'd like to thank you all for the views on the first video, because we basically received over 100 views in less than 24 hours, which is pretty cool. But I'm just going to bring you over here and show you something of interest before I go. Alright, what you're looking at is the wind farm. You can actually evade police by hiding in the bushes or running into a wind farm where helicopters cannot follow. If they do, turbines will tear them to pieces. Now credit goes to Unilad on Facebook for this one, guys, if you're interested. And I'm going to take you over here to one of GTA's channels, which is CNT, and I just want you to watch the clip with me here.
There are over 8 million species of migratory birds that travel through San Andreas. But every day, hundreds of thousands of birds are slaughtered by a not-so-silent predator, windmills. So-called environmentalists' desperate need to destroy our state's indigenous oil industry will lead to noisy, nature-killing windmills literally in your backyard. At San Andreas Water and Power, we're working with state and local officials to make sure that windmills and solar panels don't ruin our pristine environment. Let's keep the power on. Nature, and in particular our beautiful birds, will thank you. Nothing is more dangerous for a bird than a slow-moving windmill. They, like any half-sentient creature, much prefer 100-acre industrial plants spewing out noxious chemicals. together to preserve our environment. San Andreas Water and Power.
Right, so there you have it. So what we just saw basically was the wind farm and those big turbines, and birds flying into them and dying. Now, as we all know, Wispy Woods has explained this enough, birds in GTA are commonly known as helicopters. Now, again, there's no particular conclusion here, but I think it's something you might want to include in your investigations, your hunt. My personal opinion is, if there is something physical to do, perhaps it involves these turbines and the choppers. It's a big possibility. I'd also like you to note that at the end of the clip, we can just review it quickly if you'd like. You can't really respond on that, but anyway, I'm going to do it for you. If you look at the logo and how it changes at the end, it's basically a tsunami taking over the city.
Windmills and solar panels don't ruin our pristine environment. Let's keep the power on. Nature, and in particular our beautiful birds, will thank you. Nothing is more dangerous for a bird than a slow-moving windmill. They, like any half-sentient creature, much prefer 100-acre industrial plants spewing out noxious chemicals. Let's all work together to preserve our environment. San Andreas Water and Power.
Yep, so there you have it, guys. I'm sorry about the quality of the video. I am sorry about the stuttering and the confusion, but as I said, it is a bit of a mouthful. There's a lot of information going through my head at the moment. So I'm going to try and get all that cleared out as much as possible and come back next time with something a little bit more concrete. But I hope what you saw today was of interest to you, and be sure to check in next time. See ya.